came in second.
Wow.
Very good. And so today our kids will be putting on their trial for the very first time. They have never heard the opposing side's testimony or questions or arguments. So this will be extremely abbreviated. It's going to be 15 minutes because that's what the competition will allow when they put it on for the Bar Foundation next week. We'll do some objections. I'm going to act as judge because I wasn't able to scrounge up another lawyer and rule on them, and we'll see what the kids can do. I tell you, they're a fabulous group of kids, but there's a huge time constraint. So please, indulge them in that way. And without further ado,
Wait, do you need a video? Do you need a video? Oh, necessity.
without further ado, I'm going to call the court to order. Okay? So this is the case of Garcia versus Painterly. Plaintiff, you may make your opening statement.
Your Honor, members of the jury, and may it please the court. On June 8, 2018, an agreement was formed via email between Painterly Co. and my client, Sam Wilson. The agreement was that Painterly would film a Facebook Live promotion promoting their company on June 11, 2018 at 1 o'clock at Sam's house, which they had recently painted. It was critical that they conformed to this time slot, as Mr. Garcia explicitly stated that he would be away only at that time. However, on June 10, 2018, an email from Sam came which clearly stated he would be at his house at the designated time, and he was sorry for the inconvenience. Despite this fact, Painterly proceeded with the filming at 1 o'clock, which caught Sam Garcia's voice expressing his flat earth views, thus exposing my client's private information. Mr. Garcia will further testify to the fact that he clearly expressed through his email that he withdrew his consent to the live streaming, and that Painterly ignored that withdrawal, an action which most likely is grounded in the fact that an ad with the voices of Mr. Garcia and his famous co-star Ms. Hernandez would gain immense publicity. Ms. Hernandez will confirm both the trustworthiness of Mr. Garcia and prove why her financial interests were not affected by Painterly's actions, and therefore she has nothing to gain by testifying in Sam's favor. When you have considered the evidence which will be provided, I would ask you to declare Painterly liable, and thus help amend my client's financial loss. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Defense, you may make your opening statement.
Your Honor, my name is Therese Pammett, representing the defendant in this case. This is a case about a man whose own negligence ruined his once outstanding reputation. My client, Logan Brown, was deceived by an evasive email that left him thinking that he still had Sam Garcia's permission to film his house. All the evidence will show that Brown asked Garcia permission to live stream a promotion at his house, which Garcia agreed to, and never revoked. If Garcia intended for it to be revoked, his expression to do so was too unclear as to alert Painterly. Brown therefore proceeded to film, while Garcia recklessly left the window of his house open. In the filming, Garcia's voice indicating his flat earth views was accidentally captured, and then amplified in a separate video by a popular iTuber, Dogs, who we will call to the stand. Garcia believed his exposure was the sole reason that the movie in which he starred in wasn't selling, which isn't necessarily true. Based on the evidence that you will hear, we will ask that you find Logan Brown is not liable. The plaintiff will not meet their burden of proof. A verdict of liable would be a travesty. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Plaintiff, you may call your first witness.
Plaintiff calls Sam Garcia to the stand.
Mr. Garcia, would you please raise your right hand? You promise to do your best to play this role?
Yes.
Please state your name for the court.
My name is Sam Garcia.
How do you pay your bills?
I make my bills off the royalties I get from acting.
Please tell me about what happened on June 8th.
June 8th, I received an email from Painterly Co. asking to film a Facebook Live promotion at my house, which they had recently painted.
What did you say in your second email?
So in my first email, I had said I would be away from 12 to 1 so they could film then. In my second email, I said that I would be that my times had changed and I would definitively still be in my house, and that I was sorry for the inconvenience. So,
Why were you in
I believe saying sorry for the inconvenience is about as specific as it gets, to the extent that it made Painterly very clear that I wish for them not to call.
What happened on June 11th?
On June 11th, I was at my house talking with Sophia, and I expressed views about the flat roofs. I had some feeling something was going on outside, but I thought it was just the children in the next room.
Do you think you spoke abnormally loud?
Not extremely loud.
What happened on June 12th at 8 a.m.?
On June 12th at 8 a.m., I was informed by my publicist that my views have been exposed in the Facebook Live promotion, which had now gone viral. All people now knew my views, and I was losing several royalties by the people who no longer wanted to view my movie.
How did this affect you initially?
It was a disaster. Because of people not willing to see my movie, I failed to get the money I needed from this movie, causing a severe financial loss in my case.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Defense, would you like to cross-examine?
Yes, Your Honor. In the postscript of your attempted rescheduling, you wrote, "I apologize for this inconvenience." Can we agree that inconvenience is a somewhat broad term?
Inconvenience as a word in and of itself is a broad term out of context. Within the context of the email I sent Painterly, I gave them very reasonable expression that I wish to withdraw my consent, given the context of the email.
So you're saying it never, not once, crossed your mind that inconvenience could be interpreted differently?
I know inconvenience as a word can be interpreted in different contexts and different situations, but within the situation of the email that I sent to Painterly, I made it very clear what the inconvenience was by saying I would still be in my house.
During your chat with Sophia, did you leave a window open?
During my chat with Sophia, I did.
Couldn't anyone passing by outside have recorded your voice?
Anyone passing by outside could have recorded my voice. I guess to an extent, yes. Definitely.
And you continued to leave the window open, even while speaking loudly of your potentially damaging views.
I never said I testified loudly of my potentially damaging views. What I did say was that Painterly Co. was there recording all my words close up.
Can you look at this over here?
Please identify what you're showing for witness.
Oh, sorry. Okay. In your witness statement, you state that you declared loudly that the earth is flat and gave the many reasons you believe this is true. Is that correct?
I did. But by loudly, I would like to clarify. I didn't mean loudly to the extent that everyone could hear. I meant loudly specifically towards my co-star, Sophia.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Would the plaintiff like to call another witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The plaintiff called Sophia Hernandez to this.
Ms. Hernandez, please raise your right hand. Do you promise to do your best to play this role?
Please state your name before the court.
My name is Sophia Hernandez.
How do you make a living?
I'm an actress.
Do you meet Sam Garcia often in the acting industry?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you known Mr. Garcia?
4 years.
Okay. So based on your experience in the movies with Mr. Garcia, would you consider him trustworthy?
Yes.
Okay. And then what happened on the day in question?
We were supposed to meet at my house for a friendly debate, and I had a pipe burst, so we couldn't meet there anymore. So we decided to meet at his house instead.
Was your financial income massively harmed by the lack of attention to the upcoming movie?
No, because I was paid straight up and I wasn't being paid.
Okay, so Painterly's actions then did not significantly impact you.
No.
No further questions.
Thank you. Defense, would you like to cross-examine?
Yes.
When you walked into Garcia's house, did you notice Painterly's camera team, truck, or any other setup for the live promotion?
No, because they weren't there yet. I arrived early.
Did you happen to hear or see Painterly out the open window of Garcia's bedroom?
We were pretty focused on our discussion, so I didn't notice it.
Mrs. Hernandez, you and Garcia are on friendly terms, is that right?
Yes.
And you're co-starring the Sign of the Crooked Clock, correct?
Yes.
And as co-star, you should have also been paid royalties, right?
No. Our agreement was that I would be paid straight up.
Did you happen to know that Painterly is filming Garcia at all?
I did, but he had told me that they wouldn't be there at that time.
Okay, and what do you think of the movie The Sign of the Crooked Clock?
I think it is a great movie, and what's happening in Stanley is completely uncalled for.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much. Defense, would you like to call your first witness?
Yes. The defense calls Logan Brown to the stand.
Mr. Brown, would you please raise your right hand? Do you promise to do your best to tell the story? Thank you.
Please state your name and occupation.
My name is Logan Brown, and I'm the CEO of Painterly Corporation.
What were you doing on June 8th, 2018?
On June 8th, I sent an email to famous actor Sam Garcia asking if I could film his recently painted house in a Facebook Live promotion.
What happened on June 10th?
On June 10th, I received an email from Sam Garcia saying that he would still be in the house on June 11th and that he was sorry for the inconvenience.
What did you think this implied?
I believe this implied it would be more difficult to film without picking up any background noises.
When you filmed Garcia's house, what did you hear?
I heard a faint noise above me, but didn't take any note of it as my sound designer said the microphone would not pick up any background noises.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I have.
Thank you. Plaintiff, you may cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor. Many people would view an ad with the famous actor Sam Garcia in it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you would benefit from this incident, correct?
Possibly.
Okay. Now, would it have been difficult for your company to refilm this footage?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you were aware at the time of the filming that Sam Garcia was in his house, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, is your sound designer at all skilled in avoiding background noise?
Yes.
Okay. And when you're filming something outside, there's normally a lot of background noise, right?
Correct.
So repositioning the microphone to avoid background noise was not difficult, right?
No, it was.
But didn't you just say that your sound designer is very skilled in avoiding background noise and it would not be an inconvenience?
Yes.
Okay, so if it was not an inconvenience, we can agree that Sam Garcia's email stated that he was sorry for the inconvenience, right?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. The defense needs to call the next witness. Thank you, Mr. Brown. You have that part.
We would like the defense calls docs.
Mr. Dock, could you please raise your right hand? Do you promise to do your best to tell the story? I do.
Please state your name and occupation.
I am Docs and I'm a professional IT.
What were you doing on June 11th, 2018?
On June 11, 2018, I was watching a Facebook Live promotion by Painter.
Please describe your viewing of the promotion.
While watching the promotion, I heard Garcia's voice. Not Garcia's. I couldn't tell. I heard a voice in the background saying something about the flat Earth. I thought it was a Easter egg, so I was going to post it on iTunes because I thought it would get viral.
What did you? So you did.
Yes, but I did edit the video to make Garcia's voice louder.
Okay. During the edit, what did you? What did you?
During the edit, I noticed that the voice was Sam Garcia's, the famous actor's voice. And I thought it was just an Easter egg because they hire actors in commercials.
Why did you post the edit?
Well, I posted it because I thought it would become viral instead.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Plaintiff, would you like to comment?
Yes, Your Honor. How much money do you make off of iTunes?
Average amount, but I am not going to share that.
I'm
You are
sorry,
aware that-
I'm sorry to instruct the witness to answer.
And you are aware that there is a penalty for exposing private information, correct?
Yes.
Can we agree that you reposted the video and that Sim's voice was already in it?
Can you restate that question? I didn't know.
Can we agree that Sam's voice was originally in Painterly's promotion and that you reposted the video?
Yes.
Were there other people watching Painterly's live promotion?
Yes.
Did you see any indication that these people also heard Mr. Garcia's views?
I did not. It was very silent.
still will want to choose million watching Painterly's live promotion. So, is it fair to say that your audience is pretty tech savvy to be able to get to your iTunes channel? Is it fair to say that the people watching your channel have knowledge of technology enough to be able to get to your iTunes channel?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
Defense, do you have any further witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, maybe closing statement. You may make a closing statement.
Good evening, Your Honor. The case we witness here today is a simple unclarity and misunderstanding. On June 8th, Logan Brown emailed Sam Garcia asking him for permission to film his Facebook Live promotion for Painterly Corporation. Garcia consented, saying that he was not going to be in his house, and they would film that on June 11th. Then Garcia sent a vague email saying that he would be in his house during the filming, and he was sorry for the inconvenience. Garcia intended that he would still be in the house and didn't want Painterly to come. However, Logan Brown interpreted this video to mean that he would still be in his house, and it would be harder to tape the promotion. Later, Docs watched the promotion and heard something in the background. He looked more into the noise, hoping to find something interesting to make into an Easter egg. While doing it, he heard a voice stating that the earth is flat. He posted, and when people recognized it was Garcia's voice, they boycotted his movie. Thank you for hearing out this case about the consequences of being exposed on iTunes. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the defendant like to make a closing statement?
Yes, Your Honor. Honorable jury and justice of the court and distinguished members. As you can see, Painterly Co. has been proved by a preponderance of the evidence to have invaded Mr. Sam Garcia's privacy. Mr. Sam Garcia offered to allow Painterly Co. to film when he planned to be out. Once the plan changed, he canceled. Mr. Garcia had a realistic expectation of privacy because he was in his own house. Painterly exposed his political ideas through filming at his house while he was having a private conversation. He proved that acting is the way he makes money, and that he has been initially damaged by Painterly's exposure of Mr. Garcia's private conversation. To have an expectation of privacy, you only have to think you are in private. You don't need to actually be in private. In Mr. Sam Garcia's second email, he stated that there would be an inconvenience. Inconvenience can be an inspecific term, but context matters. In Sam's email, he was not at all inspecific because of the context. Interpretation of inconvenience was far less plausible than when Garcia testified. Painterly claims that Mr. Garcia didn't reasonably communicate his cancellation. They are wrong, but even if they were right, Painterly had noticed Mr. Garcia was home, and they knew they had no agreement for his being part of the ad. They were capable of ensuring his voice not heard, and unreasonably, perhaps intentionally, failed to do so. Ms. Sofia Hernandez has proved that Sam has been losing money because people are no longer watching the side of the further fall. Although the other side will try to convince you that she is biased, her income did not depend on how popular the movie was. Mr. Logan Brown, the CEO of Painterly Co., has proved that they went to Sam's house, understanding that he did not want them there. Repositioning the mic was not an inconvenience, so what was? The defendant has tried to shift the blame away from themselves by calling in docs, but they have failed. He proved that there were other people watching the Facebook Live, and that Sam Garcia's voice, and he indicated that it was an invasion of privacy by deleting the video. Painterly Co. has violated Mr. Sam Garcia's privacy, and they are liable for the monetary damages inflicted upon him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for watching this trial. Those of you who are jurors, if you don't mind filling out your ballots and returning them to me, and I'm going to ask the mock trial kids just to stay here so I can take a photo. But everyone else, I think, can go return to the gym for the next part of our music hall. Thank you so much.